Riding to the market in a Soviet-era motorcycle sidecar, a market built on top of a fortress, and a market named after a queen. This week, we're in Bordeaux, Seville, Saigon, and Melbourne to check out the best markets.
Traveling the world to bring you delicious dishes, tasty beverages, and interesting experiences. This is the Destination Eat Drink Podcast on the Radio Misfits Podcast Network.
I'm Brent Peterson. Welcome to Destination Eat Drink, the travel podcast for foodies. Destination Eat Drink is the place for foodies who love to travel and travelers who love to eat. Each week, we explore different dishes and drinks and the best places to try them. And this week, we're exploring some of the world's best markets. But first, a favor. If you like Destination Eat Drink, why not share this podcast with your friends and social media? It really helps to get the word out. And if you can, please consider a one-time or recurring contribution in any amount at buymeacoffee.com/Destination Eat Drink. And thank you very, very much. This week, we're visiting markets all over the world. Some of the best cheese for sale in Bordeaux, some amazing pickles in Seville, jackfruit in Saigon, and the best Chinese veggies in Melbourne, Australia. Okay, I'm starving, so let's eat.
Destination Eat Drink.
Darlie Newman is the award-winning creator of the PBS TV show Travels with Darlie. She tells me about the Bordeaux covered market. I can't wait for people to see this episode because you riding around in that sidecar is so cool because it like you said, it's a Soviet motorcycle, so it has this kind of boxy look to it. And retro is a great name for their business, because it's a very retro looking thing and it grabs a ton of attention. One of the places that you went in that retro motorcycle sidecar was to the Bordeaux market, which is a beautiful covered market. Talk about your experience there a little bit.
I love going to local markets when I'm traveling, and especially in France, because there's so many different things that you can experience. And of course, there's always wonderful local cheese. I haven't met a market in France where there wasn't some kind of cheese being sold. And cheese is one of my favorite things to try when I'm in France traveling. So it's another wonderful place where you just have the variety of sounds and sights and things to quench your taste buds, but really fun things to discover and purchase. And one of the markets that I visited did have this kind of crazy looking food item called gâteau à la broche, which is, I thought it looked like a large upside down volcanic ice cream cone, perhaps. And they actually would fire this type of dough and turn it into this wild looking pastry. And it's popular in the Pyrenees Mountains, but they were serving it and I saw it and I thought, wow, I just have to try that because it looks so cool. And I ended up buying one and bringing it back. I did Bordeaux by a river cruise. So I ended up bringing it back to the ship and having it with a bunch of friends that evening too. That's how you make friends, when you bring food items back for people to have while they're watching the sunset, right? So it added to the experience. And again, but I mean, there were oysters, there's local cheeses, and then also really interesting organic products. There are a lot of farms in the Bordeaux area, which is something I didn't really think about before I went there. I knew there was a lot of great wine, but there are a lot of rural farms as well. And at that market, you can try a lot of those products. There were some different sausages that I was able to try, a cheese sausage, of course. And then I was there in the morning, and it was surprising because I think of Germany and I think of people having beer in the morning, but there I am in this covered market and I sat down and had a glass of wine and they were serving seafood in the morning. And I thought, well, that's very healthy. So I might as well have some seafood while I'm at this market too. But a fun way to eat your way through a local market and try some different things. And that's located right off of an area that's known as the university area. And so it's kind of a hipper area that students go to, and you can find some more inexpensive food options in general in that area if you're looking to have that locals experience on a budget.
Pilar Rubio is a foodie tour guide in Seville, Spain. She tells me about her city's Triana market, where you get great produce and sherry in bulk. You mentioned the Mercado de Triana was a good place to get cheese in Seville, and I've been there. It's a great market, and I enjoyed visiting that place. Besides cheese, describe this market in general. Like, what do we see when we go inside the Mercado de Triana?
Well, Triana is maybe the most popular for visitors because it's probably the most beautiful one. But any farm market, because in every neighborhood there is one, is super interesting. Very close to Mercado de Triana is Mercado del Arenal. That is also worth to explore. But in Triana, you're going to see a new market because they rebuilt this market in the 90s. It was in very bad shape, so they rebuilt it. But it's still looking, and it was made like that, very, very old, very traditional, with all the name of the shops made with ceramic, made there in Triana. A curiosity about that market is that it's on top of the vestiges of an old fortress built by the Moorish in the 1000s, and that was used for centuries by the Spanish Inquisition. And on top of this castle is the market. And now it's a super nice place. It was a terrible place for centuries, but now it's a super nice place where you are going to find the best and all the traditional foods. And it's interesting because you're going to see what people eat at home also. So you're going to find the fresh fish shop, the fishmongers. That is always my favorite part. The fresh meat with all this Iberian pig, and not only the local veggies, but also sometimes exotic, because there's always a shop in every market where they have this super exotic fruits and vegetables. But also, the best pickles shop in the city is there.
Oh,
in this
all right.
market. It's amazing. The variety of olives and different pickles, and pickles with cheese and maybe tuna and anchovies, and the variety. It's like a candy shop for grown people, for adults. And they have also an amazing selection of sherry and olive oil. And you can buy sherry in bulk. There is people who goes to the market with their empty bottle, and you go to these places and they have this cask of sherry, and you fill your bottle. You only pay for the sherry, not for the bottle, and it's very sustainable also.
Yeah. Oh, what a great idea!
It's a great place.
We talked about pickles in the last episode. And if folks want to hear that and hear me just gushing about the pickles in Seville, because I really do love them, go back and listen to the last episode that we did with Pilar, and you can hear that, because it's really, pickles in Seville is not something to be missed. You mentioned the ceramics at the Mercado de Triana, and what I didn't know about this neighborhood, it's a very characteristic traditional neighborhood, at least the parts I walk through, and one of the things it's known for is its ceramics, and there's great ceramic shops there. I had no idea that Seville was such a hotbed of ceramics before I got there.
This is a curious thing, because Sevilla, the reason why Sevilla exists is the river. It has been always trading. And this port over the centuries is going to be super important, as important as that this was the port and the door to America. Sevilla had the monopoly of the trading with the New World. But also in the Roman times. In the Roman times, they are going to export from this river and this city tons and tons of olive oil and cereal, wheat, and wine to the Roman Empire. And of course, you had to put all this inside something to export, to put it in a ship. So in the Roman times, clay pottery was super important already. Later, the Muslims are going to arrive and it's going to be a revolution in the ceramic technique. They brought such a lot of knowledge, and everything is going to be not only functional, but beautiful also. And in the Renaissance, we had this Italian painter, Nicoloso Pisano from Pisa, and he started painting in tiles and glazing by firing. And that gave us our typical Triana ceramic style. Around the market, yes, there are beautiful, beautiful shops. And when you buy this, you are buying, part of a tradition that is so old. Everything is in Triana because at the end of the Middle Ages, the authorities decided to put in that side of the river, the other side of the river, all the stinky, smoky, dangerous industry. So all that went to Triana, and all the population in the neighborhood were the blue-collar workers in this industry. And this is going to give to Triana a very special character.
Young Ho is the founder of Jackfruit Adventure, a foodie tour company in Saigon, Vietnam. He tells me what to look for in the Saigon markets.
Saigon is a really big city with about 10 million people living, so it's always busy. And for us, the fresh market, or people call the wet market, is really a popular way for us to shopping around compared to going to the supermarket. So you can easily to find the wet market, like in every district in Saigon. In every urban area, they have kind of some random wet market just pop up in some place on the street, some places. But for me, one of the most interesting place for me to visit the wet market is I always bring my guest. Is located in our apartment in Saigon. We have some complex apartment that built before 1975. That in there, like just right in front of the complex, the apartment is the market just right there, like just right at your door. Apartment it's serving for local people around the area, and also for people living in the apartment. And that you can feel that how is draw the picture of the wet our culture of like going to the wet market. And in the early morning, you can buy fresh fish or meat and vegetable. So we don't really keep much food on the fridge because we go to the market every day, every morning, normally, like my mom or my relative.
This is a great way to live. And when we moved to Portugal a couple of years ago, we really had to kind of adapt our way of thinking to this idea of going to the market on a daily basis or an every other day basis. And it's really different than an American way of thinking of going to the market once a week or every other week and loading up your car with all of this stuff and bringing it home, putting in the pantry, putting in the refrigerator. What is the name of this market that you were just talking about again? What was the name?
So if you have chance to go to the Saigon, I recommend you go to the market they call Ngô Gia Tử.
Okay.
It's quite long for you. Like Ngô Gia Tử market.
I'm going to have difficulty pronouncing that, so I'll leave it up to you. But one of the things that a lot of folks are doing now is going into Airbnbs instead of hotels. And with the Airbnb, you get a kitchen. So this is another advantage. You go to the market, you can buy your produce. What would you say for someone who's a novice, who hasn't been to Vietnam before? What should they look for in the market as far as fruits and vegetables and other kinds of produce? What would they look for that they could find interesting, that they could try and really get a taste of Vietnamese culture that they could prepare in their own kitchen in their Airbnb?
I think the first thing they can easily to find is the fruit. Our country is really popular for the tropical fruit. So in local market, you can easily to spot, like mango steam, or jackfruit, and now the season of durian. I know maybe a lot of people doesn't like durian, but it's the seasoning now, and for us it's like the king of fruit here. So I think the first time you come to our market is looking for the fruit. It's really easy to see in every local market. We have it. And some in terms of cooking, if you going to buy something, in our local markets, it's always have the ready meat, ready fresh, like pork or chicken, is beef always ready. So you can easily to combine and buy some, fresh vegetable. It's easy to make your salad. Yeah. So I feel this, and you can find everything there in the wet market, for your recipe of cooking in terms of Asian, or in the West way also quite easy to find the ingredients for cooking.
Now, you named your company Jackfruit Adventures after the famous fruit in Vietnam. And I've talked about this on the podcast before, that I'm trying to get into jackfruit, but I've had difficulty because it was explained to me that you really want to try it fresh. And I guess I haven't had fresh jackfruit. Is this the way to really experience jackfruit and enjoy it to its fullest, do you think, Young? Is fresh jackfruit rather than cooked or processed?
Before, you already have the dry jackfruit? Did you eat the dry jackfruit before?
I haven't found it fresh. I've had it prepared in cooked in like barbecue sauce and things like this as a kind of as a meat substitute type thing.
Ah, I see. So actually, jackfruit, the fresh, when you eat fresh, you can have the full flavor of that. But I see majority of people, they like jackfruit when it's dry.
Oh.
It's mean like the jackfruit, and then they heat it up until it's dried. I think it's a better version of jackfruit. Yeah, it's really a famous snack. When you travel and you have it's like really healthy and tasty snack, like a little bit sweet, but they also have the flavor of green tea when you eat that. I think it's really good combination for a good snack, and especially when you travel, some country like in Asia, and you're looking for kind of some local snack. I think this can be a good option.
Monique Bayer is the owner of Walk Melbourne Tours, a company that takes hungry tourists around her city of Melbourne, Australia. Monique shares her favorite markets in Melbourne and the veggies she always looks for when she goes shopping. Monique, folks that listen to this podcast know that I preach two big things to do as soon as you reach a new city. And the first is to go on the food tour. And we've got you talking about Walk Melbourne, your foodie tour company. So check on that. The second thing I always say is go to the local market, because you can discover so much cool stuff. You can find out what the locals are eating, discover maybe some exotic or unusual produce that you're not used to, or some snacks and prepared food. And you can mingle with folks who are shopping there every day and the vendors. So Melbourne's a big city. You guys must have some great markets.
We do, absolutely. So the market that a lot of visitors to Melbourne are drawn to is a market that is not only historical, but also active on a daily basis, and it is the Queen Victoria Market, okay? And there are people who live in and around the downtown area who will do their grocery shopping there, and it is an absolute treasure trove of diversity through there. It was opened in the late 1800s. And an interesting story, there used to be a much bigger market at the eastern end of the grid. And then the city council said, we're building you, it's getting a bit rough and tumble up there. We're going to build you a brand new market just for retail food, or for wholesale food. Right? So the butchers and the grocers and whatever would have somewhere to just sell the food rather than being mixed up with all the entertainment as the old market was. And then on the first week that it opened, all the traders went over to the new Queen Victoria Market, all the wholesalers, and they said, this is great. Where's the wholesale section? And this is in the 1890s. And the guys who designed it said, this is it. And they laughed at them and they said, this is way too small. So even from the get-go, it was never big enough to be a wholesale market. So and from the get-go, it ended up being a retail market for food. So when you walk through it, it feels quite lovely and cozy, and the stalls are reasonably small. And the actual hall that's famous is called the Dairy Hall. So it's an indoor section within the original building, and it is full of stalls where there is cheese, there are spices, there are snacks you can get. Probably the most famous biggest store there is the bratwurst store. So you can go there, and when you do your grocery shopping on a weekend morning and go and pick up a German bratwurst and walk around and eat that. There's a Turkish borek store. And it's just a real demonstration of the ethnic diversity that Melbourne can offer, not just in the dairy hall, but you kind of walk out the back where the uncovered section where the vegetables are. And you can get such a diversity of all the great immigrant food that's come to Australia. The Mediterranean vegetables, a lot of things from China and Southeast Asia, a lot of Middle Eastern style influence as well. It's just fantastic.
What do you like to grab when you go to the Queen Victoria Market? Is there any exotic fruits or vegetables that you have been experimenting with that you think, oh, I'm going to add this to my kitchen?
I always get really tempted by the treasure trove of Asian greens. There's always something there I've never quite used before, and it always looks so fresh that you just kind of look at it and you want to cook with it. You know, you want to throw that in a wok or in a soup or something like that. So I do love that. I love all the fruits and veggies. And of course, I do a lot of myself. I do a lot of Mediterranean cooking. So we're always looking for the nightshades, the eggplants and capsicums and that sort of thing when they are in season. Summer's just a delight down there. Having said that, the Queen Victoria Market is not my favourite market in Melbourne. My favourite market is the South Melbourne Market, which is almost the same distance from the downtown, but on the south side instead of the north side. And it's kind of in the local area where I live. So not only beautiful vegetables and fruits as well, but one of the best areas in Melbourne to go for brunch and coffee. So you can always kind of head down for breakfast, have a delicious coffee, and then wander around and do your veggie shopping, which is fantastic.
I want to talk to you about coffee shortly, but I did want to share with you that, you know, I love the idea that you've got all of these Chinese vegetables available to you, because here in where I live, we're in a city south of Lisbon, and in my city, there is a pretty good Chinese expat community living here, but it's not that easy in my city to find Chinese vegetables. If you go to Lisbon, you can, but there is a storefront that's been vacant for a while, and they've got a poster up saying coming soon, Chinese market. So I got my fingers crossed that I'm going to be able to enjoy something besides bok choy in the very near future.
And amazing, and I hope that they're going to be growing something there for you, because I think that the climate in Portugal with the heat would be great for growing some of those Asian greens. So as long as you've got enough water there, maybe you'll be getting something special.
Okay, one of my favorite things to do is visiting the local market. And just to update you, in the time since that interview with Monique, the Chinese grocer has opened in our city, and I'm going there all the time. I get some Chinese veggies there, as well as sauces and sesame oil. Plus, a Middle Eastern market just opened around the corner from our house. Love going there and getting their spices. I've posted a link to book a tour with Monique, as well as Young and Pilar, and a link for Travels with Darley. All that is in the show notes. Well, that's it for this week. Next week, Tbilisi, Georgia, for an amazing feast called Supra, a dumpling eating lesson, and a bottle of wine at passport control. Don't miss that. Until then, get over to destinationeatdrink.com, where I just posted a story about the best vegan restaurants in Lisbon. And trust me, everyone, even the most hardcore carnivores will love these places. They're that good. Read that story at destinationeatdrink.com/blog. There's also a brand new video up. If you're interested in what life is like in Portugal, I interviewed my friend Lorraine, who is a Canadian expat. She's got some great insight on what it's like moving to and living in Portugal. You can see that by clicking on the video tab at destinationeatdrink.com or by going to my YouTube channel at Destination Eat Drink 946. And speaking of life in Portugal, I have a brand new Substack. I write stories about what life is like in Portugal, some of the good, some of the bad, some of the difficulties, some of the bureaucracy, some of the challenges. All of it is interesting, I think, and you can read it at destinationeatdrink.substack.com. And remember, you can support Destination Eat Drink with a one-time or recurring contribution in any amount at buymeacoffee.com/destinationeatdrink, and thank you very, very much. Destination Eat Drink is distributed by the Radio Misfits Podcast Network and Ed Silla. Thanks, Ed. I'm Brent Peterson. I'll see you down the road.
Join us next week for another culinary adventure on Destination Eat Drink, a presentation of the Radio Misfits Podcast Network.